Welcome to the Existential Empath Podcast. My name is Tanya, and I am an intuitive empath. My intention is to share valuable tips, tools, and techniques that I have learned so you can tap into your own inner healer naturally and intuitively. Welcome back, everyone. Today I have guest Kate Heartsong. Kate is a confidence coach, workshop facilitator, public speaker, and author of the books Humanity's Cry for Change and Deeply We Are One. For more than 20 years, Kate has been receiving profound insights while meditating. She is passionate about sharing these insights with the world so others can awaken and live more conscious lives too. Welcome, Kate. It's such a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here, Tanya. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
So for those of you watching YouTube, you may see a lot of water behind me and you may see that I'm wearing blue. Well, I was really tapping in to the energy of the show today because Kate and we're going to be talking about the Age of Aquarius and humanity's evolutionary leap into a new age. And so, Kate, it's really no secret that many of us are going through awakenings, right? And, you know, whether it's being triggered by physical ailments, emotional trauma, spiritual transformation, or all the above, right? And so you yourself have been navigating these waters as well. And, you know, I've got a lot of analogies about water today, but it's coming through because this is what we're talking about. And so this shift in humanity is a part of a leap into a new age of consciousness. And Kate, you know, many people are feeling very anxious. They're feeling very fearful. They might be in pain, or they might even be confused about what's actually going on in the world. And they're searching for answers and relief, right? And so I'm sure you can attest to this, but this was me. I was one of these people not too long ago, and I was searching for the answers on how to positively change my life, as well as share my gifts with the world in a valuable way. And so Kate, you're very passionate about helping people successfully navigate these times of transition, right?
Absolutely.
And you talk a lot about how to reduce stress and how to experience personal growth by living more consciously. So, you know, my first question is, in your experience, how do we better cope with these challenging, transformative shifts that we're all going through right now?
An excellent question. And how we can best cope with this, there are actually many answers. One, first and foremost, from my perspective, it's really important that we acknowledge our feelings. Don't ignore them. Don't stuff them. Also, don't spend too much time on focusing them because, you know, what we focus on gets bigger, and yet acknowledge them. In that, we can then better move on into process whatever feelings or emotions we may have. Maybe talk to a friend, get support from a professional perhaps, or maybe just a friend. Find a coach, talk through it, journal, allow yourself to have those feelings, and in that, it helps to reduce those feelings. Then get back into using tools that I'm sure all your listeners have, various tools to bring us back to center, to bring us into balance, to help us to feel like we're feeling better, like a higher vibration. One thing I love to do, which I recommend to everyone, be in a place of gratitude. That'll help you feel better and to deal with all the crazy stuff that's happening on the planet. To better cope, get into that place of gratitude or whatever other tool works in a way that supports you, in a way that can bring you back to that sense of connection. And again, there's so many resources. Another big thing to cope with is meditation. Yes. And I know we all know the benefits of meditation and even group meditation, and maybe even join a meditation group for world peace. So see what
you can even do that online. You don't even have to go somewhere to do that.
Definitely do so much we have access to online. So there's so many ways we can cope. Yes.
Yeah. And I think it's important. You said connection. It's important for us to disconnect what's causing our nervous system stress and anxiety
Yes.
to connect with what causes us, what brings us peace, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
harmony. And so oftentimes it's like, you've got to, sometimes you've got to reboot the system, unplug it to
Yes,
plug
yes,
it back
I
in,
love
but
that.
plug it back into an energy source like nature or meditation or self-care or those types of things that are very important.
Absolutely. And I love what you said, reboot. That is critical. That reminds me what you just said. Being in nature is a wonderful way to cope with all what's happening, not only in the world, but in our own lives as well.
It is. And I think that's kind of an underlying theme for this show. And I told Kate before I started the program, I tune into the guest's energy and I resonate with a certain frequency. Well, the frequency of the show is the Schumann resonance, and I'm playing that in the background. So, some of you may not be picking up on it consciously, but you may be picking up on it very subconsciously. And so, when we're talking about the age of Aquarius, we're talking about water. And so, Kate, I wanted to, kind of ask the question, do you feel that the reason why we're going through this global chaos is for our awakening? And is this going to result in a positive impact on humanity?
Another excellent question, Tanya. Absolutely. We are indeed going through all this chaos for the very purpose of bringing in the new earth, very purpose of bringing in the age of Aquarius. And the reason is this, it's just the way the universe works. In order to bring in the new, we need to dismantle the old. We're going through coming out of the age of Pisces, all about competition, aggression, men and women are not equal, all about separation, lack of respect or not as much respect, moving into the age of Aquarius, which is all about collaboration, peace, harmony, respect, kindness, love, all those lovely and high vibrational words, but it is true. And astrologically, this is really happening. But in order to bring that new, the old has to be brought up to the surface, and we're right smack in the middle of it, right smack in the middle between
sure are.
ages. And that's why we're feeling it. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so many chills as I just said that.
That's a confirmation.
All of us have been here. We may or may not know this consciously, but we have intended to be here in this very stage of flux, chaos. And again, it's to bring the old. And for example, we know there's so much happening in the finance world, shaky stuff with the banking system. The old paradigm is just not working anymore. So
round peg, square hole. It's just not working.
Oh yeah, that's right. Excuse me,
carving our own.
My mouth. Exactly. So for us to recognize the tools we can use, like your first question, what can we do to cope with this? Fall back on the self-care so we can cope with the old that's coming through individually as well as globally. And through this, we can actually harness and cultivate and nurture, like a birthing process, the new earth, the age of Aquarius. So yes, the age of Aquarius is a very positive thing. But boy, in the midst of birthing a baby, it's so painful. But what is the result? Oh my gosh, it's new life.
It really is. And, it's kind of funny, when I was putting this show together, I kept hearing the song from 1969, The Age of Aquarius by The Fifth Dimension, right? That was the name.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I was reading some of the lyrics, and I wanted to just say some of the lyrics because that's exactly what we're moving into. And so for those of you, this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius, and it starts with harmony and understanding, sympathy and trust abounding, no more falsehoods or derisions, golden living dreams of visions, mystic crystal revelation, and the mind's true liberation. And I can definitely see that
Yeah.
happening right now, right? With many of us tuning into our subconscious thoughts and
Yeah.
clearing out old patterns, old belief systems, and liberating ourselves. And then the end is open up your heart and let the sun shine in. And they repeat that. I was listening to that song yesterday. It was really funny. It just, it was hard to not put this show together and not think of that song. But those are things that we are beginning to move into. We're letting go of, like you said, that war type of energy, that more aggressive energy, that more separation energy. And now we're moving into a more heart-spaced unity energy. So Kate, I wanted to ask you, what is unity consciousness? I've talked about this on the show, but I'd love to ask different people on their take of it, and how we can get there through connection and harmony and balance.
Yes, unity consciousness. I'm sorry, I'm so excited. I want to say three things at once.
Hey, let it out.
Unity consciousness is the awareness, the consciousness that all of life is interconnected. We are really, truly all one. And the reason is, on the most basic elemental level, everything is energy. And so everything interpenetrates and coalesces with each other. And that's the very nature, again, of how the universal law works. So unity consciousness to me means, yes, the awareness, the consciousness, not just knowing it in our head, but living it in our heart and living through the premise of the various premises of unity consciousness, such as respect for life and knowing that what I put out to others comes back to me, and to do what I can to be of service, and many other things.
Yeah, and understanding that we're mirrors of each other, right?
Yeah.
So, the energy that we send out to others is going to come back to us as a mirror. And oftentimes that can assist us with our healing journey.
Exactly.
And so, Kate, is there some science that backs this, that backs the fact that we are all interconnected beings?
Yeah, so much science. Really, bottom line, it's the quantum physics that has proven time and again with so many studies, so many different varieties of studies proving that there is that interconnection, that there is the energy, the basis of life being energy. There's just so much science out there. I would recommend, if people are interested in getting into the nitty gritty of specific science studies, check out The Field by Lynn
That's a
McTaggart.
great book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Greg Braden, in his book, The Divine
Matrix.
He quotes or shares many, many scientific studies. There's so many, and it's fascinating to see the synchronicities and the interconnection and because we're in a physical world, yes, but the real, true, absolute reality is in the non-physical. And that's where so much of the quantum physics studies have found, and in the physical as well. But there's so much to be said about it.
There is. And I'm getting the image of fractals, for those of you, a fractal, like, you see a certain sacred geometry in fruit, and then you see it in the human body. Like, say, you can even see the veins of a tree that look similar to the human nervous system.
Yes.
Just these ways that we're connected with nature and the way that these fractals ripple out. And I know Greg Braden talks about that. I actually bought the Divine Matrix many years ago when I was first awakening, and I just pulled it out recently and reread it again. And wow, I had a deeper understanding of the knowledge that Greg was sharing in that book. And so I do encourage any of you out there, if you've already read it, go back and read it again, because you may have some more aha moments like I did.
That's awesome. It is. It's a great book. And it'll give in if people need concrete proof, because a lot of people are conditioned to believe that science is the way to go. This is where I get my proof. So let me read this and it'll give you proof.
It's so true. And so, if we're moving towards unity consciousness, why do you think, Kate, that it's so important for us to understand that oneness is the key to harmony and peace? And that's our organic way. That's how we are in our source, right? Our source energy. So why do you think it's so important for us to understand that, especially living in this age of separation?
Absolutely. Bottom line, it will save us as a species. Um, there's so much to be done to make a shift in many areas on the planet. In order for us to really have the peace and harmony, we really need to understand, and again, not just in the mind, but in the heart, and to live it, the understanding of the interconnection. So, as we already touched upon a couple of topics here, one is the mirror. As I recognize that everything is interconnected, then I am more tending towards realizing that as I work with another person, or a person has hurt me, that this is actually a gift and I can learn from it and have personal growth. When I understand the unity consciousness, when people are in this place, they are much better in a position to respect and have reverence for life. And they will know that what they put out to another comes back to them. And all of us want to feel good. All of us want to be treated with respect. All of us want to be loved and have a sense of belonging. So as we put that out, we get it back.
Mm-hmm.
As we share that which we desire, we benefit, but others benefit. And it goes back and forth. So again, the knowing and the living of oneness consciousness is essential for us to then prepare us into the new earth, into having the more essence of love and understanding, and so much like what that song Age of Aquarius talks about. It is the conduit in which that we can then more flourish.
Absolutely. And I think, your whole basis is me too, teaching people how to live more consciously. There was many years in my life I was living unconsciously, and I didn't even recognize what was going on, that I was creating some of the experiences in my life, some of the challenges, some of the, things that I was dealing with in my relationships. And
Right.
so when we begin to live more consciously, like you said, if someone hurts us, instead of saying, I'm seeking revenge on them, we take a look at ourselves and ask ourselves, what is it inside of me that I need to heal that is actually attracting that type of energy into my reality? And how do I heal that aspect? And what patterns have I had in the past when someone hurts me? How do I lash out? Do I lash out? Do I hold it all in? Do I seek silent revenge? What do I do? And so I think learning how to be more consciously aware of the mirrors, and Greg talks about this, the three mirrors, and I've done a show on that. And that was a very powerful concept for me, in understanding that every interaction that I have in my life is some sort of a reflection back to what I'm projecting out into my external world.
Exactly. I love how you worded it too. And so much we can learn from it if we're willing to. And that's the key, is having self-responsibility and knowing we create our own reality through what we put out, because it's just the very nature of the universe. Really, many know this as the law of attraction. What we put out comes back. And then again, the mirror. And what are we to learn from it? Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that kind of leads into the benefits of raising our frequency and knowing that we are all connected. Because if we understand that we're all connected, and as we raise our frequency, we will begin to not experience those types of lower frequency experiences or situations, because we are moving more into that space of harmony, balance, love, respect, self acceptance, or even self-awareness. I think, there was probably many years where I wasn't self-aware, and now I'm very self-aware. And so, Kate, I do feel like as we raise our vibration, we can see these benefits kind of play themselves out in our external world.
Absolutely. It's critical, actually. And imagine if one person did this, they're going to feel better. They're raising their vibration. They will likely have done their own personal work, whatever trauma or challenges in their life. They have self-responsibility. They're working through it. And then what about 1 million or 5 million or 100 million people? As each person does their own work, this adds not only to themselves, but to the collective consciousness. And that's where the shift happens. When we raise our vibration, we are raising the vibration of the whole planet. And there's going to be a shift when we reach that critical mass. So it's really important that we do. And I love empowering my clients and audiences to know it feels so overwhelming if we think about all what's happening on the planet, the chaos, the hatred, the mistreatment of so many. There are also so many who are shifting and changing. And when we know that we are raising our vibration, which is critical for not only ourselves, but the whole planet, we are making that change. And so one person at a time does make a difference. Don't think that you are not important, and don't think that your piece of the puzzle to humanity is not important.
Is irrelevant. Yeah.
It is so relevant. It is so important. And every single person matters. That's why we're here. And so when we have the raising of the vibration, we benefit not only ourselves, but those around us, and then the whole planet. And that's actually, again, cradling us into bringing the new earth in. It's going to happen.
It is. It's happened. We're just aligning with it, right?
That's true. On the physical plane, we don't
exactly. We're aligning with it on the physical.
And yes.
Kate, that was beautiful. And it reminds me, when I worked in organ donation and transplantation for many years, there was a story I used to share called the Starfish Flinger. And it's basically about a grandfather and his grandson, and they're walking on the beach, and they come upon thousands and thousands of starfish that have been beached. And the grandfather says, "Oh my goodness, how can we save all of these starfish?" And the little boy walks up, picks up one, and throws it in the water and says, "Well, I just saved one." And so I love that, because, you know, there might be people out there saying, how can I possibly make the world a better place? I'm only one person, right? But when you hone in and master your own energy, you raise your frequency, it ripples out to every single person you come in contact with. And so that's what you were talking about, is that it's so important for us to work on ourselves, to go within, do our own work, do our own self-care, because when we light up, when we flourish, everyone else around us lights up as well. It's almost like a concert. When one person puts the flame up, all these other flames just start, you know, turning on. And that's what I see. And so, you know, don't be overwhelmed by how do I, one person, change the world? You know, it's how do I change my world? Okay, let's change my universe. And then the universes around me, as a ripple effect, will also raise in frequency as well.
It will. You know, I know this personally, as so many people do. Yeah, I used to be very shy. I had huge amount of shame. I used to have just low self-esteem. And I grew over time to transform into being the person I am today. So it took a lot of work. But it's possible. Believe me, I'm living proof. It is possible to make change. And as each person makes their commitment to personal development and healing, they themselves then will feel better. And like we've been talking about, that's going to add to the consciousness of all of humanity. So recognize that, you know, it does take work. It does take time. It takes commitment. It takes awareness, but it is possible. You know, I've been able to transcend very difficult childhood into who I am today, which is actually the very reason I have so much passion to support others in knowing their greatness and that they can make change. It's possible.
It is. And it takes a little pinch of patience in there too, doesn't it, Kate? Like, you're like, oh,
Oh
okay.
my gosh.
Because as we're moving in the energetic, we want things to transpire here
Yeah,
in
yes.
the physical
I
really
want it
quickly.
now.
I want New Earth right now. Well, we can tune into the energy. I mean, I feel in my life, I've been kind of isolated this year a little bit. I just learned I had a vibrational astrology reading the other day, and he told me I'm in my seventh harmony, which basically means I'm going within. And I have felt that this whole year. And I'm noticing that my external reality is shifting. I am seeing more loving interactions. I am seeing more smiles on people's faces. I am seeing more peaceful, harmonizing events in my reality, but I'm also tending to myself from within. And so it's kind of projecting it, out for me.
Yes, exactly. And it's so important to take care of ourselves. It actually is not egotistical. It's not selfish, because the more that we take care of ourselves, and like you said so wonderfully, it projects out. In fact, everything we see on the outside is a reflection on the inside, which for so many centuries and thousands of years, there's been war, because there's war within each person. There's
Exactly.
conflict within us. So
Mhm.
when we take care of ourselves, we are then adding positive to the collective consciousness. Again, the same thing, but it's so critical to know this. And that's where one person can make that change. And self-care is okay. It really is necessary.
It is. Self-care is the new healthcare. That's what I say.
Oh, I love that phrase. Very true, too. There's so much truth to that,
There's
Tanya.
so much truth to that. And I think, what you're seeing, if what you're seeing in your external reality is what you need to heal within. If you're seeing war, you're
Exactly.
going through a war within you. If you're seeing fear, you're going through some sort of fear within you. There's things out that you're witnessing outside of you. If you're seeing, I even had this revelation in the shower. If you're seeing clouds, you've got brain fog. It's like there's something you might need to do a detox. I
Yes,
don't know,
yeah.
but I had this revelation, and Greg actually talks about this in the Divine Matrix, how the weather that we're seeing is an impact of what's going on with us internally. And that's how we know where we're at. And I've used this. I've done a little bit of experimentation on this. The days that I might feel a little down, I notice it could be a little overcast, maybe a little drizzly. And then the days I'm feeling very vibrant, it's sunny.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, okay. So I started to notice that my emotional state was also projecting out to what I was seeing in my own physical reality. And I would talk to friends, and they were seeing a different weather situation than I was. And I'm like,
Oh.
well, this is very interesting. But it talks about, we talk about the new earth, but the new earth is a frequency, right? So it's us tuning into that vibration. It's us tuning into that resonance of the earth that we desire to live on. And I know I listened to a channeling from Bashar, and Bashar talked about this. He said, there is no 1, 2, 3 earths. He said there's infinite earths, and they're all frequency based. And so many people right now are living in a lower, denser frequency of an earth, right? So they're seeing the wars, they're seeing all the destruction, they're seeing all this, where many of us who are starting to live more consciously, we are expanding our consciousness, we're raising our frequency. We're living in a completely different reality than many people are. And I don't know if you're experiencing this, Kate, but I definitely am. I even say I even have merchandise that says not my reality, because there's things that people will come to me, even my parents, I call them, and it's all that, what's going on in the world. And I'm like, that's just not my reality. I'm living in the age of Aquarius. I'm
Yeah.
having a good time. So how do we get there? How do we raise our vibration to get to that point where we're living in a more peaceful, harmonious earth within ourselves that will be projected out?
Yeah, we can raise our vibration by, again, what I shared before, have a place of gratitude, sincere gratitude. And there's so much we can be grateful for. Yeah, I'm grateful for every time I turn the faucet in the kitchen, water comes out. I have water accessible right there at my fingertips, or my car starts, or my health, and etc. We know there's so many basic things. What about the ability to breathe?
Yes.
Everyone has the ability to breathe without the oxygen machine or being able to step out of bed. There's so much, when there's a sincere sense of gratitude, that raises our vibration. It's right up against the vibration of love
Uh-huh.
is gratitude. So it's beautiful. And another thing we can do to raise our vibration is, as much as we can, as much as is possible, open our heart. Being in a place of heart and love, that's all about unity. It's all about community. It's all a connection. When we have our heart open, people feel it and we feel it, and we can again raise our vibration that way. Like if you're walking in the grocery store or on the street and you see someone, if it feels right, with your heart open, just silently to yourself, send blessings or love or may you be well, whatever phrase of good that you can share. And you may or may not see a reaction from them, but they are benefiting. And what if millions or a billion people on the planet were doing that? So again, raising the vibration is essential. But again, be mindful, don't ignore the upsets. None
Exactly.
of us are to be up all the time. That's just not the nature of life.
Uh-huh.
And yet again, do your reflection, acknowledgement, process, work through it, the personal work, and then get back into that higher vibration. And the more we do this, the easier I have found for myself. It's so much, I am faster at getting into meditation and
Absolutely.
higher vibration than I did 30 years ago when I started. It doesn't take much for me to get back into that space if I sit down and meditate. But then also using other tools, it doesn't take much. So again, just practice, trust, and intention is really powerful.
Very.
Get that intention to be in high vibration. Do the work to let go of the lower vibrations. Don't beat yourself up to having those lower vibrations, but get back into that place of center and share it. It ripples out, doesn't it, Tanya?
It does. And when for just the other day, I live alone. I've been single for a long time. I do everything on my own, and I had gone down to my garage and left my garbage bag there because I was going to walk it down to the dumpster, and my new neighbor threw it in the back of his truck and took it down for me. And
Oh,
that little act of kindness
yeah.
made my day. I was glowing because I haven't had someone do that for me in a very long time. And just this one
Yeah.
little thing,
Yeah.
and he was probably in his 20s. I'm like, Mama raised you right. That was really
Yeah.
good. Right. And so
Totally,
just
totally.
little acts of kindness that we can do for one another. And so, Kate, can you share maybe an exercise that will help us awaken from separation to unity? And my example is just acts of kindness.
Oh, I love that example, and that is so true. Here's an exercise: recognizing or being in a place of awareness of our heart. How open and how closed is it when you are with a certain person or with a group? Or how open is your heart when you're at work? And to be in tune with your feelings. So when our heart is open, we are actually more in the place of love and connection. Imagine when you're with a person that you love or you really admire, or even right now here with you, Tanya, my heart is wide open. I feel the connection. So when you're with someone, you're feeling the connection, which is unity. You're feeling that oneness. Cultivate that as much as you can by opening your heart, as long as it's done in a genuine way. And the opposite of that is when our heart closes, when we can really feel that, maybe we're in judgment with someone else. Well, we're sensing or comparing ourselves to someone else. It doesn't feel good. And our heart is closed, and that's ego. And that's all about separation. So my suggestion as an exercise is to do your best to just be aware as my heart open now, and maybe have fun with it. Explore what has caused me to have my heart open. Usually it's
That's a fun rabbit hole to go down.
yeah, well, yeah, it could be. I love being with this person. This person helps me feel alive. but remember, we're mirrors to each other.
Yes.
We don't see in another unless it's within us.
Uh-huh.
But what is the reason that your heart is so open? And conversely, what is the reason I am feeling shut down? I'm triggered. I'm not happy. There's the feeling of low energy, low vitality,
Mhm.
low vibration of energies. And what is it about that? If you're willing to look at it with, if possible, an open mind, with compassion for yourself. And this could be an invitation to do some inner work. And again, so this is the exercise. The more we can be in the space of love and giving, like your example of your neighbor taking your trash, that made you feel really good. Acts of kindness will open
And
your
it
heart.
doesn't take a lot. It
Oh, it
doesn't
doesn't
take a
take a
lot.
lot. Yeah, it's beautiful. So, yes, that's the exercise, to be aware of the love and unity, community and connection versus ego and separation, lower vibrational emotions.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Practice with it, and in time, you will get more acclimated to having the higher vibrations, the higher or open heart.
Absolutely, because when our hearts are open, we're naturally in a higher frequency, And so ask yourself, do I feel resistance or do I feel flow? If you
Yeah,
feel resistance, your heart is closed off. If you feel flow, your heart is open,
yes,
right? And so
absolutely.
there's little subtleties that kind of present themselves in
Yeah,
our reality that show us where we're at.
yes. Yeah,
And
and also
like
the
you said, using others as mirrors to show us that.
exactly. And I
Mhm.
would add to that, to be in tune with your feelings.
Yes.
That I kind of touched upon it, but I didn't really use the word feelings.
Mhm.
When we are in the open heart, it feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, it feels so good, and we feel alive, and we feel so connected. And then if it's feeling resistant, like you say,
Mhm.
or just not feeling good, that's an indicator your inner guidance system is telling you, hey, this isn't good. This isn't the right thing for you. So be aware of the feelings as well.
Yeah, and many of us know what it feels like to fall in love. And when you're in that state of bliss and you
Yes.
feel light, you feel giddy, you feel happy. And oftentimes you could have challenges present themselves and you just kind of you blow them off and you move through. And that's the state we want to strive
Yeah.
for, right? We want to be in that state of feeling like we're falling in love all the time and and getting there, but then also, like you said, not really bypassing when we're in those lower denser states, because in order for us to get into those higher frequencies, we have to kind of let go of the baggage of those lower frequencies.
Yes.
And the reason why we move, it's like we ebb and flow just like water.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
we might be in those lower valleys at times, but there's a reason, and a lot of it is that's when we need to go within and do that inner work. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
That's why I think you picked, or spirit picked, the
Water.
water, because of the flow, the fluidity of life up and down. And that's how we learn. That's the chance to go within. What can I learn? And in that, we clear out more and get into higher vibration and add positive to the whole world.
Absolutely. And so, Kate, what types of services do you provide for others? I know you've written a few books, and will you share with us a little bit about your books?
Oh, I will. Thank you. My website is called joyfulradiance.com. And I am very happy, if people are interested, to offer a complimentary coach session, because I am a certified life coach as well as a certified financial coach.
Oh, wonderful.
And yes, and then what's near and dear to my heart is are my two books. My most recent one, called Humanity's Cry for Change, and the subtitle is Actions You Can Take to Bring in the New Earth. And so much of what we talked about today is in this book, and even more. There's so many exercises to help you, and there's just a lot of benefits to the book. And you can find that on my website or on Amazon. And also my book, Deeply We Are One, which helps us to cultivate and recognize our greatness. And in that, we can better recognize the oneness. So yeah, just reach me at my website, joyfulradiance.com. And it would be such a joy to hear from you. I love like we said, I'm passionate about supporting others in recognizing and living their greatness. And in that, we can add more to the piece of the puzzle and add to the new earth, bringing in the new earth.
Absolutely. And that's powerful. And I do feel many of us are, we're going within, healing ourselves, and that now we're out sharing our gifts with others who might be in a similar situation where we were before. And then there's others who are, moved on more than we have, and they're sharing information with us. And it's just this beautiful connection and this beautiful flow of knowledge and wisdom. And that's being shared amongst all of us right now. And that's kind of my intention of this podcast, was to be able to not only share my tips, tools, and techniques, but to also bring others on like you, Kate, and be able to share things that have worked for you, because we're all connected and we're all one, but we're all very unique and very different in our own ways. And we're all on different healing and spiritual journeys, and what resonates with some may not resonate with others, but yet it may come back and resonate later on. That's been my experience.
Very true. Absolutely.
So Kate, this has been such a wonderful talk. And it was funny because like I said, I felt the energy before we even started this show, that there was this underlying, this kind of thread moving through this with nature and water. And so just really moving into our hearts, getting into the flow, and just really becoming more consciously aware of what's going on in our world. And so, Kate, I appreciate you coming on the show. I appreciate the energy that you're putting out into the world. And thank you for being transparent today and sharing some of your experiences with us.
Oh, you are so welcome. And thank you for this wonderful podcast. And I want to thank the audience as well for listening. They are just phenomenal, each person. So it's been such a joy. Thank you, Tanya.
You deserve to navigate your life in alignment with health, happiness, and abundance. To learn more about the services that I provide, including Beyond Quantum Healing Hypnosis, EFT tapping, and the Emotion Code, visit my website at www.theexistentialempath.com.